Palma. Oh,
man.
pass. That's unfair, and Palma 7 points in the game.
Janelle Fuentes.
Oh, wow.
Delgado takes the shot and knocks it down. Malonia is open. 3-point.
Oh, my goodness.
Face a jumper by Robin Celis. Caballero has time. Now it's Martin Rosso. Turnaround jumper. Oh my goodness.
Matapos ang halalan noong nakaraang Lunes, nagbabalik po ang Maharlika Pilipinas Basketball League. And for the 4th time this season, we are here at the brand new Inares Center in Montalban, Rizal for a Wednesday triple header. And we begin our day with Bacolod taking on Caloocan. Mark Duboze representing the new wave of ballers from Bacolod, and he will take on his kuya na si Jeff Manday. Been there, done that, especially in the 3x3 circuit, and these two guys will lock horns in our first game. Bacolod versus Caloocan ang ating unang laro, followed by Pasig City. They will take on the One Bataan Risers, and to cap things off, Val City Magic will take on the Rizal Central Mall Golden Coolers. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Ken Panglinan with Javi Palanya. And Javi, this is a game that's supposed to be youth versus experience, although some of the vets of Caloocan sitting out today. But how do you see this matchup playing out?
Well, this is going to be very interesting considering that Bacolod is coming off a victory and Caloocan is coming off a loss. And we're going to talk about more later on when we see the team standings. But Caloocan has always managed to bounce back from their defeats this season. So Bacolod is in it for a treat here in this game. They're going to have to bring in twice as more great performance in this game against the Batang Kankalu if they want to get a victory again.
And of course, you're watching us live on our official Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on Solar Sports every Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays starting at 6 p.m. And of course, we have our third member of our panel na alam naman natin, no, na bumoto rin noong nakaraang Lunes. Hindi ko nababanggitin kung pang ilang beses niya bumoto, baka magkabukingan pa ng edad. We have Miss Lyra Punsalan. Lyra, what do you have?
Maraming salamat, Ken. Matapos ang pagkapanalo nila against Parañaque, it looks like may bagong gigil nga itong Bacolod Tubo Slashers with a 2-5 standing, because unti-unti nakikita natin ang pagkabuo ng chemistry nila. Sabi nga ni Coach Pao Havilona, isa lang ang mindset namin. In every game, dapat mas gutom kami kaysa sa kalaban. But it looks like hindi magiging madali ang assignment nila because they're gonna be facing Caloocan Batang Kankalus today, which consists of players from Bacolod themselves na nabanggit mo nga sina Manday at Kabanag. And today, sabi nga ni Coach Toto Dohilio, kailangan naming bumawi dahil ayaw naming patong-patong na talo. And of course, today it's gonna be a test of redemption versus momentum. Kung anong diskarte ang mananaig, abangan natin yan. Back to you guys.
And certainly that would be very interesting. Especially titignan natin yung ating team standings ngayon, and we already saw Bacolod notch their second victory this season, and you gotta remember last season isa lang yung panalo nila all in all. And ngayon nga in our team standings we see in the North Division itong Nueva Ecija and Happy San Juan, itong dalawang kupunan na to, no losses, but at the end of this week meron na dyan na magkakaroon na isang talo.
Correct. We're gonna see Nueva Ecija and San Juan got it out this weekend at Saturday. Pero yung Caloocan, they're number 6 right now in the Northern Division. They used to enjoy being at the top of this particular division, but their losses have forced them to go down dito sa Norte, and each time that they lost, nasabi ko na nga kanina, they've been able to bounce back. They lost to Cebu in their first game, they won against Mindoro, and that started a 4-game winning streak para sa kanila. They lost to Nueva Ecija, and they also won against Rizal in their next game. But out of the teams that they've faced in the top 5 in the Northern Division, they've only managed to win against the Pasay Voyagers. So that's something that Caloocan has still not been able to prove yet to themselves this season, being able to win against the top teams sa kanilang division.
And pagdating sa South Division, you see Zamboanga now at the number 1 spot after that loss of Quezon last Saturday against Pampanga.
Well, Zamboanga has been playing great as a team with the leadership of Abdul Sawat. That's no surprise para sa ating lahat, but the Quezon Huskers, we thought that they were going to be able to most likely get a victory against the Pampanga Giant Lanterns on their home floor. That was the first time they went up against each other at the Quezon Convention Center after the National Championship, but they were unable to hack out a victory. Samantalang itong Bacolod, nasa bababa pa ito ng ating team standings, but their second victory this season, nasabi na nga ni Lyra, brought about kakaibang gigil para sa kanila, and that's gonna be key for them going into this game against the Caloocan Batang Kankalu.
And now we covered their last game. They went up against the Parañaque Patriots. And this was a game where Parañaque had a good start. Paulo Castro had 11 points in the first quarter alone, but Bacolod had a strong finishing kick in this one, Javi.
Yeah, they were down 17 to 23, but in the second quarter, they were able to outscore Parañaque 22 to 13 to lead 39 to 36 at the half. And it was 59 to 52 going into the fourth quarter, where Parañaque was also outscored by Bacolod 23 to 13, where the Tubos Slashers were up by as much as 17 points. You look at the numbers here, they shot efficiently, more efficiently than Parañaque at 40%. They went to the line 25 times, although I might argue that this is still not yet a very good percentage from the charities type, 12 out of 25. But makikita man na from that number, that aggressiveness is there for these young Tubos Slashers, and I'd like to see that same number, maybe even more, going to the free throw line against a tall Caloocan Batang Kankalu in today's game.
And they will take on a very experienced Caloocan side na kamakailan lang natalo kontra dito sa San Juan. And this was where, San Juan lost to Caloocan in Season 6. Gigil na gigil silang bumawi in this matchup, Javi.
Mismo, this happened May 5, medyo matagal-tagal na rin. But this was a 15-point loss para sa kanila, just like Bacolod against Parañaque. This was also a slow start for the Batang Kankalu. Yung differential lang, hindi na sila naka-recover dito. They only shot 33.8% from the field. They averaged around 37.8 among the lower teams in that department in terms of field goal percentage. But they were badly out-rebounded here, 41 to 34, and they gave up 36 points in the paint, while also allowing the bench mob of San Juan to dominate them 55 to 38. Very important that Caloocan brings the same fire that they had in their bounce back games during this season against Bacolod here today. Wag na nilang hayaan na makakuha ng magandang simula ang Bacolod Tubos Slashers. For me, the key here this afternoon, who has the better start?
All right, it's Bacolod versus Caloocan in our first game. Let's go to Richard Tampos.
First up today is Bacolod versus Caloocan. And here they are, your starters. Let's begin with Bacolod Tubos Slashers. At guard number 1, John Sobrevega. The other guard number 2, Richard Mobida. Forward number 10, JC Adjay. The other forward number 15, Aldave Canoy. Center number 25, Miles Canyal. Bacolod is led by Pau Habilona, assistant coaches Noy Baclao, Embrick Sahota, and Briton Habilona, assistant team manager Kevin Custodio. Now the starting for Caloocan, Batang Kankalu. At forward number 1, Romel Kalahat. Shooting guard number 7, Jeremer Cabanag. At forward number 11, Paul Sanga. Playing center number 17, Jesse Sumoda. Point guard number 25, Chris Torado. The Batang Kankalu is led by the playing coach, Gabby Espinas, with Toto Duhilio, Peter Santa Maria, and Mark Manalang, the team manager, Mac Robert De Chandu, the team governor, Jeremy Dean, the team owners are Dennis Flores and re-elected Caloocan City.
Starting Vibe brought to you by 1xBet, the title sponsor of the MPBL. Your choice, your victory. Feel more game with 1xBet. For Bacolod, Jan Sobrevega, Richard Movida, Miles Canyal, JC Adjay, and Aldave Canoy. For Caloocan, a rare appearance in the starting lineup for Chris Dorado and Jeremy Cabanag, with Jesse Sumoda, Paul Sanga, and Romel Kalahat. And as we've mentioned, some of the vets not playing for the Batang Kankalu. Playing coach Gabby Espinas, not in uniform, as well as Real Cervantes and Chris Pito on the tip, going to the guys in white, Bacolod.
This might be the first time in a long time that Gabby Espinas will be actually just working the sidelines in this game for the Batang Kankalu.
Yeah.
And that's a good start for Bacolod, as Miles Canyal, who has been playing well as of late for the Tubos Slashers, gets the first bucket on the glass.
Their leading rebounder, ito si Miles Canyal. He's been the anchor in the paint para dito sa Bacolod. Completes the three-point play to open things up here.
But he's the guy who needs a lot of work on his free throw shooting. Judging from the last game, he had the most misses para sa Bacolod, 3 out of 7 from the line. He was also the one who had the most attempts. So important for him to be able to get a good percentage if he's going to get fouled a lot. It's going to be a long afternoon for him dealing with the plethora of bigs that Caloocan has.
And now, he incurs a foul after challenging that shot by Jesse Sumoda. So si Sumoda mayroong pagkakataon dito without Real Cervantes, Gabby Espinas. As he can't knock down the first free throw.
Yeah, the only bigs on their roster for this afternoon are Ronnie Matias, June Bonsubre, and Alvin Baichong. So definitely a lot of opportunity para kay Jesse Sumoda to prove himself worthy to Coach Gabby Espinas and Coach Toto Duhilio that he is worthy of a big place in their rotation moving forward.
Great pass by Sobrevega. And sliding in was Miles Canyal.
Jan Sobrevega has definitely embraced the playmaker role for this Bacolod team, learning a lot, I'm sure, from new head coach Pao Javelona. Sobrevega, before this stint with Bacolod, really known more as a scorer, which he's been showing a lot also in this season. But the ability to facilitate, to playmake for his teammates has really been eye-opening para kay Jan this season.
Ajay could not convert on that layup. Actually, binanggit mo nga, no? Si Jan Sobrevega, as we see a traveling violation called against Jesse Sumoda. As you see Coach Gabby and Coach Toto. Assist of the game brought to you by 1xBet, the title sponsor of the MPBL. Your choice, your victory. Feel more game with 1xBet.
See, look at that pass go through the needle, Ken. That's exactly what I'm talking about. The evolution of Jan Sobrevega.
And he really struggled in their first few games for Bacolod, that has quickly adjusted. Ngayon, maganda yung pinapakita niya para dito sa Tubo Slashers as a traveling call, this time against Miles Canyal.
Well, I think for me, after the first few games, he now realizes what he has to contribute para dito sa kanilang koponan. And it's not just scoring, it's also facilitating and playmaking for his teammates.
Paul Sanga connects on that three-pointer.
It's been a while also since we've been able to see Paul Sanga start the game para sa Caloocan, and he will always be a very reliable outside shooter. That stroke ever so beautiful.
Canoy thought about that long three as a foul will be whistled against Caloocan. Check out this three-point shot brought to you by Extreme, your one-stop shop appliances.
Nice screen set by Jesse Sumoda to free up itong si Paul Sanga. Simple play on the wing para sa Batang Kangkalu.
5-4 is our score. Bacolod with a 1-point lead. Richard Movida steps back, launches, and knocks down a three. Richard Movida also has found the stroke in their last few games.
But against Parañaque, only played close to 12 minutes. He struggled in that game, 1 out of 7. He was 0 out of 4 from the outside. Good sign that he's been able to knock down his first shot of the game.
Kalat able to cut backdoor for the reverse.
I can't even remember the last time I saw Cristorado on the court this season. This might actually even be the first time that he's starting a game for his new team. Previously, Cristorado was known to be a constant starter for the Bataan Risers. But this year, he has turned a new leaf in his career.
Dami niya kasing competition at that spot eh.
Correct. And mukhang yung Bataan kasi talagang they have already decided that they are gonna give the reins to Robbie Darang as their lead point guard.
Dito sa Caloocan, he has to play behind the likes of Chris Bitoon as we see Paul Sanga this time from mid-range. Tied ball game at 8.
Just like Jesse Sumoda, he has a good opportunity in this game to be able to show what he can do. Wala nga si Chris Bitoon sa laro na to. He's out with an injury. He's not suited up.
Also there, si Joko Tayongtong and Irvin Palencia. So those are all capable point guards at Coach Gabby's disposal.
Actually, very underrated nga yung depth nito Caloocan. Not a lot of people really talk about it compared to the other loaded squads that we have here in the league.
Play the game brought to you by 1xBet, the title sponsor of the MPBL. Your choice, your victory. Feel more game with 1xBet.
Siyempre, people will talk about, you know, the Nueva Ecijas, the Quezons, the Pampangas, the Abras, na look out minsan yung team ng Caloocan, pero halos every position maganda ang mga manlalaro na meron itong batang Kangkalu.
This is Paul Sanga, who lets his defender fly by and drills in a three-pointer.
And that's an opponent that's a shooter that Pao Havilona and assistant coach Noy Baclao just know too much about. Went against Paul during their college days in the UAAP, and I'm sure they witnessed a lot of those outside shots fall in front of them.
First 2 points of JC Adjei as Chris Torrado gets pushed on his way up. It's a nice play by Bacolod.
It's already the second time in this game that Sobrevega has been able to make a spectacular find, and that time stepping on the brakes and finding Adjei on the cut, but on the ensuing play, a flyby galing dito sa isa sa mga pinaka-deadling shooter dito sa MPBL still, Paul Sanga.
Both teams hitting their frees early. Chris Dorado from Diliman College. Pasok din yung kanyang pangalawang free throw. So it's 13-10 for Caloocan as we approach the halfway point of the opening period.
This is gonna be a challenge in this game para kay John Sobrevega, going up against smaller guards. He usually will go up against guys who are his size, maybe a slightly taller. Pero bihira pa siya dun sa mga teams na nakakalaban nila na makabantayan isang gwardiya na significantly mas maliit sa kanya.
13-12. That was a long two-pointer from Janjan Pastias. Cabanag can't hit the three. So Prevega against Chris Torrado. Duboze about to check in at the next whistle. Pastias balik kay Sobrevega. Trying to get past Chris Torrado. And Torrado called for the personal.
Torrado has been providing great pressure defensively here on John Sobrevega. But Sobrevega has made some great passes in this game. Already 3 times. 3 great ones at that.
Tres din pala pinakawalan ni Janjan Pastias. So we're tied 13-all. Bacolod trying to keep in step, and so far they have done a solid job. But they cough up the rock there. Irvin Palencia is in, as well as Jeff Manday. Paul Sanga na libre na naman, but that time could not connect on a free. PJ Intia nasa loob na with Mark Duboze. Matalier nasa loob na din. Intia inside. This is what you like about Bacolod. They are just gonna play hard to the get-go.
That seems to be in their DNA as players. Very gutsy, brave young men who are not afraid to mix it up inside, showing a lot of courage in each game that they play. PJ Incha, definitely one of them.
LGR, the official outfitter of the MPBL.
Incha was 5 out of 6 from the free throw line against Parañaque. He struggled from the field, but he was very aggressive in trying to attack the basket.
See his numbers there. Meanwhile, let's check in with Lyra Punsalan.
It's more than just another game tonight for Caloocan Batang Kangkalus, Jeff Manday and Jeremy Cabanag, because for these two standout guards, this matchup hits a little closer to the heart. After all, they're facing none other than Bacolod, the very home that helped them shape their early years in basketball. Para Parehong galing sa Bacolod, both Manday and Cabanag shared nothing but respect and gratitude for their former team. Sabi ni Jeff, kung hindi dahil sa Bacolod, hindi ko maaabot tong level na to. Doon ako tumibay sa ensayo, sa tiwala at sa mga taong naniwala. Jeremy Cabanag echoed the same sentiment, saying Bacolod was my training ground, not just for skills, pero para maging professional. Kaya kahit kalaban ngayon, respeto ko sa kanila ay buo pa rin. Ngayon, nakasuot na sila ng bagong jersey at may mga bagong responsibilidad na sa Caloocan. But deep down, this game will always be special. A full circle moment for two players who continue to grow while never forgetting where it all started. Back to you guys.
Great report from Lyra Punsalan, and those two guys, especially Jeff, pareho silang taga Bacolod. Jeff Manday started his career with Santa Ana de Victorias in Victorias Negros Occidental. And then nakita natin he really thrived in a 3x3 circuit. Samantala, Jeremy Cabanag was once the leading scorer for Caloocan Batang Kankalu when they made their run in the playoffs.
Itong dalawang player na ito, they really owe a lot to Bacolod. Pareho sila taga ron, and they're very proud to be from there. Not ashamed of their roots, but syempre dito sa laro na to, it just means pure business.
Saka mayroon ding ibang oomph, no? If you're from Bacolod, you have a lot of players, a lot of teams. Like Pampanga, for example, that's a hotbed in terms of basketball. But Bacolod also, alam naman natin, the guys that came from that region, James Yap comes to mind, Jeff Chan as well. And all of these players have certainly made their mark. Pero ngayon nakikita natin, for Bacolod, it seems like they have found their identity under Coach Pao Havilona.
No better guy to represent them than Pao Havilona, who is also a proud son of that province. Kaya naman, this season, they have been through some rough patches, but this is a young squad. And despite that, they've been able to have some success, and they have been able to learn from their mistakes. Slowly but surely, they have shown us that they can compete in this league.
Jeff Manday bouncing it inside to Romel Calahat. Peeks at the clock, 1 second remaining, fades away, no good. Joggy Laude gets it back. Manday fires. And that ball ends up going back to the side of Bacolod.
Yeah, the defense for Bacolod to start their season, their first few games maybe against Pasig and Muntinlupa, hindi mo pa makikita talaga halos na nabubuo yung depensa nila. But after that, when they won against Marikina in their games against Zamboanga and Pampanga, especially where they only lost by 9 points, you could see this Bacolod team really trying their best to rotate and get to their spots defensively. These two guys, Pao Havilona and Noy Baclao, one of the best defensive players of their time at their position. No better way to learn for these young players than from these two former defensive stalwarts in Pao Havilona and Noy Baclao.
Mark Duboze at the line. And look at Bacolod with a 5-point lead so far against Caloocan. Duboze has certainly adjusted to the MPBL brand of basketball as we have a timeout with 70 seconds remaining. And the Tubo Slashers with a 6-point lead will pause for a break. Those were our games last Saturday. We had a three-day break. Muntinlupa won versus Imos. Batangas obliterating Parañaque. But what about Pampanga making a statement against Quezon?
Surprising victory by the Giant Lanterns. Everybody thought that Quezon would have that win playing on their home floor. They did not have the opportunity to play at the Quezon Convention Center during last year's National Championship. But the Giant Lanterns, although they're a much different team this year, still proving to everybody that they are still a team to be feared.
And Renz Alcoriza broke out in that game, had 19 points. Special deal from 1xBet. Scan the QR code and claim your special offer. 11 of those 19 points coming in that pivotal third quarter para kay Renz Alcoriza. As you see the field goal shooting, although Caloocan had more attempts, pero Bacolod with a 75% shooting clip here in quarter number 1. Manday trying to put the moves on against Bastias. Manlangit, sablay yung kanyang tira sa labas. Bola mananatili sa panig ng Caloocan.
Bacolod has been forcing Caloocan in these last few possessions into shots where they're not really very comfortable taking. Earlier you saw Paul Sanga getting a couple of open looks and knocking them down, but ever since Paul Sanga has been to the bench para sa Batang Kangkalu, nahirapan na itong unit sa sahig nitong Caloocan because not really a lot of offensive options outside of Jeff Manday and JJ Manlangit para dito sa mga naka-orange.
That time though, a great pass, but Manlangit could not finish, but it's the putback.
This is more a defensive unit than an offensive 5 on the floor for the Batang Kangkalu. That time, JJ Manlangit, one of the guys I mentioned as scorers for their team here on the floor, making that basket.
Had a great fourth quarter in that game against San Juan. Ito si JJ Manlangit as we see Batalier fish a foul against JJ. 9.9 seconds remaining here in the first quarter. Batalier will troop to the line. Tubong Puerto Princesa, Palawan. Ito si Ira Batalier. Airballs the first free throw.
I think he was really shaken up after that hit. It was quite a hard foul.
Able to rectify the second free throw. Bacolod with a 5-point lead, 20-15. As we wind down quarter number 1.
They have fouls to give here.
And they gave up one. Aquino preventing Laude from taking that shot.
Now, when you're a young team and you're going up against more experienced squads, it's very important that during the game you're always aware of the foul situation, the clock. These are things, although maybe small ideas at times, that you always have to pay attention about because sometimes it will make or break you.
Ito, isang foul ulit pinamigay ni Janjan Pastias. That's their last foul to give. 2.7 seconds remaining for Caloocan. Laude to trigger it in from the sideline. Irvin Palencia, the pass, Banday. Oh, able to beat the buzzer. They will check it. But it looked good in real time.
Well, it was close. They forced Palencia to give the ball up. Looks like it will indeed count. The referees reviewed it and counted that three-point shot. Everybody converged on Irvin Palencia, leaving Jeff Manday wide open on the left corner. He's always been a deadly three-point shooter. Ito si Jeff Manday taking 3 off of his home squad.
And great presence of mind by Irvin Palencia. As we end quarter number 1, Bacolod with a 2-point lead over Caloocan, 20-18. Jeff Manday laban sa San Juan Knights, 10 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 40% shooting from the field. And this is one guy that is really known as a sharpshooter para dito sa Caloocan, and he's now trying to help the Batang Kangkalu make a deeper playoff run this season. And certainly one of the guys that you should watch out for para dito sa Caloocan.
He was one of 3 guys in double figures for the Batang Kankalu in that game against the Knights. And each time that he has taken the floor this season, Manday almost always proving to be a definite scoring threat para sa Batang Kankalu.
And he was their leading scorer when they won a championship in another league when they defeated San Juan in the finals.
Kaya naman grabe rin yung gigil ng Knights when they faced off against each other in that game.
Dito na yung field goal shooting, 75% for Bacolod. Only 33% naman para dito sa Caloocan.
Well, Caloocan had 18 field goal attempts in that first quarter, but Bacolod held their ground defensively despite giving up multiple possessions in that first quarter and also being very efficient on their side of the floor offensively.
Aquino, tinanggap yung pasa galing kay Kanyal. This is Canoy's shot, but he airballs that one though. But he has that shot. Ito si Aldave Canoy. The top of the key free. Coach Pau Pau. So we're also seeing, youth versus experience in terms of coaching.
Correct, yes.
I mean, in terms of age, Si Pau Pau, Coach Pau Pau, and Coach Gabby Espinas. Although, nandun din si Coach Toto Dohillo for Caloocan. As we see JJ Manlangit get a free run to the basket.
That's a rare giveaway in terms of giving a lane to a Batang Kankalu player here in the first half by Bacolod. They've been able to clog those driving lanes in the first quarter, making it difficult for the guys in orange to get a clear lane driving to the hoop. JJ Manlangit recognizing it, taking the handoff. Na-late yung rotation dun, yung help sign defense na dapat manggagaling kay Aldave Canoy.
Jaggy Laude fires from deep. Bola nakuha ni Mark Duboze. This is a fun matchup. Duboze against Palencia. Ajay gets it to Canoy. Puts it on the deck. Shot clock winding down. 8 seconds remaining. Ball will go back to the side of Caloocan. Caloocan just at the bottom half of that top 8 in the North Division. See the turnovers. Bacolod already with 8. That's why Caloocan has had more attempts from the field. Baityong, susubukan yung depensa ni Kanyal. Hook shot. That one pops out. Bacolod trying to push it. Great transition defense by Caloocan. Although Duboze forcing it.
That's a tough take. It's too deep inside. And masyado masikip. There are a lot of orange shirts in the shaded area. Not a good attempt by Mark Duboze.
Si Aquino yung ang mapipituhan on that last foul. By the way, our referees for this game, Jovet Ocfemia, Jay Castroverde, and Hali Damcog. And also Karina Martin, our substitute referee. Caloocan trying to reclaim the lead here. Laude goes up, no good. Kanyal with another rebound. Ajay. And that steal here from Irvin Palencia. Kick out pass. Manday sa kabila naman. Second free for Jeff Manday.
It's very difficult to be casual with the basketball. If you're JC Ajay, when you have guards like Irvin Palencia and Jeff Manday who are very pesky defensively, this gave way to the wide open three-point shot, this time on the opposite corner para kay Jeff Manday. Nice teamwork between the two backcourt generals.
Caloocan ng abante ng tatlo. Will return after this break. next 3 games of Caloocan. On the 19th, they will take on the 2-time defending champions Pampanga. On the 23rd versus Imus. And then to cap off the month of May, they will take on Quezon City. Now let's check in with Lyra.
Caloocan Batang Tangkalo is in today with one thing in mind, redemption. Assistant Coach Toto Trujillo shared the team went through 5 straight days of solid focus training. Nag-training kami ng 5 tuloy-tuloy na araw, wala kaming absent at walang reklamo kasi ayaw na namin masanay sa talo. He said, if we want consistent wins, we need consistent effort. But the team isn't at full strength tonight. Key players like Bitoon are still out, while Espinas and Kazan are both nursing hamstring injuries. Medyo limitado ang rotation namin ngayon, Coach Toto admitted, pero that's not an excuse. Laban pa rin kami. That 5 days training stretch wasn't just about improving execution, it was about building mindset, chemistry, and confidence. Now it's time to see if that hard work will pay off against a hungry Bacolod tonight. Back to you guys.
Maraming salamat, Tyra. And especially, after this game, they will take on Pampanga. So, yun nga kailangan nila mahanap talaga yung rhythm, yung chemistry, with this. Actually, this is a tough matchup going up against an upstart Bacolod squad. Tapos, kasunod nga nilang kalaban, itong Giant Lanterns.
Kaya nga, very important itong game na to, and I could see why, judging from those 5 straight days of hard practice that they've had. Dahil ang sunod na nga nakalaban nila after this is Pampanga. And if you watch their game against San Juan, you can't afford to have that kind of start and to not bounce back from that during that very game. If you're Caloocan, importante sa simula pa lang, you're already sharp, getting to it defensively and making crisp passes in your offensive sets to make sure na nahihirapan yung depensa ng mga kabilang panig, especially against Pampanga, who I'm sure is very high in terms of confidence after their win against the Quezon Huskers.
Ronnie Matias, Joko Tayong-Tong, nasa loob na, as well as Josh Flores and Bonsubre for Caloocan. Totally new group. With Jet Panday remaining there for the Batang Tangkalo. Another 3 this time by Josh Flores.
They've been bailed up by those 3-point shots. That's already 3-pointer number 5 for Caloocan in this game. Despite the loss, very important contributors in Chris Bitoon and Gabby Espinas, na-expose naman ngayon yung lakas ng mga wing players sila. Earlier, you saw Paul Sanga knock down a couple of threes. At kakapasok lang nito ni Josh Flores. Earlier, Panday also had a couple.
26-22. After that basket by Bacolod, Aldev Canoy able to attack inside. Flores susubok ulit sa 3. Supply, nakuha ni Janson Prevega yung bola.
Para naman sa Bacolod, importanteng hindi sila mabaon ng malaki dito. They can't afford to go down by a huge margin against this Caloocan team. And that's a very good way to get them out of this hole that they're in right now, down by just 1 point.
Bacolod, who once had a game where they had 0 of 14 shooting from 3. This time, another 3-point shot brought to you by Extreme, your one-stop shop appliances.
Jan Pastias getting another opportunity for a wide open look. Each time it was Jan Sobrevega making that delivery to him.
And they cut the lead to 1, 26-25. Ito naman yung tatlong susunod na laro ng Bacolod. On the 19th, they will take on the Abra Weavers. 22, San Juan Knights. On the 28th, they will go up against the Mindoro Tamaraws. Mabigat-bigat yung mga pagsubok na kakaharapin ito nila Coach Pau Pau and the rest of the Tubo Slashers. Actually, those last 4 games in the month of May, including this one, lahat playoff contenders.
Correct. They've gone up against Jose for Parañaque, who hasn't really been flashing playoff form this season, although they have a roster that's very capable of making a run in the postseason. As you take a look at Bonsubre getting called for that offensive foul, that elbow hit on Miles Cañal. Bacolod has gone up against Davao, Pampanga, and Zamboanga before that game against Parañaque.
Here's si Ajay, pocket pass to Aldev Canoy. He thought Ajay was still there, parked at the corner. Madami na yung turnovers dito ng Bacolod. Already 12. And look at those points off the turnovers. 14-0 in favor of Caloocan.
That's the only reason why Caloocan has been able to keep this close. If not for those turnovers, to tell you the truth, I think this would be a significantly huge lead for Bacolod, the way that they've been playing defense against the Batang Kangkalu. If not for those bailout shots from the outside for the Batang Kangkalu, eh talagang maganda siguro magiging abante dito ng Bacolod.
6 seconds left on the shot clock. Will Cervantes in street clothes for today's game. Flores. That three does not work. Foul will be called against Ronnie Matias on that rebounding battle.
And if you could also notice, not a lot of inside opportunities para sa Caloocan sa laro na to. This is another outside shot courtesy of Josh Flores. There's a foul on Ronnie Matias. Lucky for Caloocan, they've been able to make a good percentage of their outside shots. That's why they're still in this.
And also Bacolod continuing to give up that basketball. 13th turnover against the Tubo Slashers. And the 16th turnover point for Caloocan.
And that's what they can't allow. Those turnovers will keep generating opportunities like that para dito sa Caloocan. And that's where the inside points will pile up for them if they don't stop doing anything about it.
One and done by Bacolod. Bonsubre, tubol sa labas. Long two-pointer for the former San Beda Red Lion.
It seems for Caloocan that they've been ready for this kind of defense that Bacolod has been throwing at them so far. Yes, hindi sila makapasok sa loob, pero yung kanilang outside sniping and even from the perimeter has been quite on point in this game.
Push shot of Miles Canyal. As he got fouled. Fast break of the game brought to you by Extreme Xbox, personal karaoke speaker, everyday karaoke. Pasan, Matias, pinalik papunta kay Flores for the deuce.
Ronnie Matias will always make the right play in any kind of situation. That's the reason why he has been able to stay on up to this point of his career and still play at a high level. His longevity has stemmed from the fact that he has always been a guy that is always willing to give up anything for the betterment of his team.
Si Miles Canyal. Nagsastruggle na naman ulit sa free throw line. 0 out of 2 on that last trip. Approaching the 3-minute mark of the second period. Miles Canyal this time draws closer, lays it up and in.
That's an impressive read coming from the young big man. Opened up that roll opportunity and just took it all the way to the hoop.
Flores this time drives. And Bacolod gives up the foul. It's 30-27, just a 3-point lead for the Batang Kangkalu.
But take a look at this two-man game. Bastias making way para kay Miles Canyal. He was blitzed there. And the help rotation, the help side defense of Caloocan not providing much resistance. Nakatayo lang doon yung interior defense. As you take a look at El Granada, Gary David in attendance here.
This free throw brought to you by Extreme Appliances, ang subok at kumpletong appliance brand ng Pilipinas. Mamaya nga po, tampok ang Juan Bataan Risers kalaban ang Pasig City. 31-27 after a split at the line by Josh Flores. Batalier back in with Pastias, PJ Intia, Miles Canyal, and Richard Movida. Pastias pulls it back out, likes this matchup against June Bonsubre. Bonsubre though, standing his ground. 4 seconds remaining on their shot clock. Pastias, the fake, floats one up. Batalier gives them another possession. Canyal sa bandang itaas. Pastias. 6 seconds sa kanilang shot clock laban kay Flores. The pass to Movida. 3-point shot is short. A foul against Batalier.
Kala niya siguro di siya makikita. But it happened right in front of our baseline referee.
So, huling-huli. Caloocan may pagkakataon na dagdagan yung kanilang kalamangan. Masyadong matulis yung tira doon ni Josh Flores. At bola babalik sa panig ng Bacolod.
One and done possession for Caloocan there. That's a problem when you're going up against a pressure defense that's set and you take a jump shot. Usually when you let that ball go into the hands of the opponent or you let that sail out of bounds, it's definitely going to be the end for your possession.
Pastias lost the basketball but got fouled in the process.
Could have been another turnover there for Bacolod, but Janjan Pastias was able to improvise there. He put on the brakes. And I think nadulas pa nga sa kanya yung bola eh. Pero buti na lang may nakatapig galing sa likod at tatabaan yung kanyang kamay.
Pastias, his 4th consecutive season with Bacolod. One-time homegrown player for dito Boss Slashers. Pasok yung kanyang unang free throw. Jumbon Subre, di pa rin makapaniwala dun sa huling tawag.
I think Pastias might be the longest tenured Bacolod player, at least in this roster right now.
Yeah. Paul Sanga also was part of that Bacolod team that made a playoff push in the South Division. With the likes of Marquis in there. I think Jeremy Cabanag was also part of that team, if I'm not mistaken. They have a traveling call against the Tobo Slashers. A minute and 20 left here. Langit gets it to James Ingles, crossing the timeline. Caloocan just up by 3. But they're trying to make their push here to finish out the first half. Ronnie Matias with that gorgeous shot with an English.
You can't expect him to have a really tough time when he's just going up against one defender that deep near the basket. That's exactly where he thrives.
Pastias laban kay Ingles. Janjan floats one up, gets the bounce.
So far, Pastias has been the one who has generated the most offense in this game para sa Bacolod. Earlier, a couple of threes, but that time able to make something happen going to the basket with that floater.
Gangster great move of the game, born for greatness.
Maganda man yung naging depensa doon ni Miles Cañal na kuha niya sa harap si Ronnie Matias, but Matias, beautiful counter with that drop step spin.
We have a timeout, Caloocan with a 3-point lead. Alright, we're winding down the first half between Bacolod and Caloocan. Bacolod trying to chop this lead down or even tie it. With about a 7-second differential between shot clock and game clock. Pastias. Na libre si Adjay. Binalik kay Pastias. Pupukol sa 3. Off to the right. The pitch. Tayong Tong. Inside, Ronnie Matias with the layup.
That's the patience coming from Joko Tayungtong. Not forcing the issue and getting it to his trailer, Ronnie Matias, who you gotta give a lot of credit for still running the floor at this age.
The second quarter comes to a close. Caloocan with a good finishing kick to this quarter as they try to fend off tong Bacolod. At the half, it's Caloocan with a 5-point lead.
Manny Pacquiao is annihilating Oscar De La Hoya's. That is the most spectacular one-punch shot of Manny Pacquiao's incredible career. And he fights his way off and goes down again. Straight left hand for Manny. Does he have Cotto in trouble? Manny Pacquiao is a storm. Another huge left hand by Pacquiao. Punch after punch after punch. And he finds the straight left hand. And there's the punching down. Look at the brilliant accuracy of Manny Pacquiao. Landing with both right and left hands. This is why we use the word sensation.
Welcome back to Maharlika Pilipinas Basketball League. It is halftime of our first game between the Bacolod Slashers and Caloocan Batang Kangkalus. I'm Lyra Punsalan and our halftime score is 35-30. Kasama po natin ngayon ang assistant coach of Bacolod Slashers, Coach Emerick Sahota. Coach, Debuzay mentioned earlier na isang araw lang daw ang pahinga nyo after that win against Parañaque. Can you share us how did you prepare to face Caloocan today, lalo na't iba sa mga players nila ay galing Bacolod?
Yeah, yun, as usual naman, every practice namin, nag-guard kami, sinusunod namin yung game plan. But this time kasi, parang mas challenge sa amin kasi facing Caloocan. Kaya, ayun, ginawa rin namin yung duty pa rin na guard sa practice, extra, lalo na shooting, mas nagpo-focus kami in free throws.
And Coach, Bacolod has been performing well for that first half. And can you share us how did you help naman to maintain that momentum for them?
Ayun nga bale, kasi tulad ng last game namin, if naglalaro kami at kami nagdi-dictate ng game, lagi kami nakakasabay natatalo lang kami ng end game. Siguro because of the players na rin, pero syempre, nagka-practice rin naman kami at sinusunod nga namin yung game plan namin. So, sana magtuloy-tuloy at makakuha ulit kami ng panalo.
May mga gusto po ba kayong pasalamatan?
Bale, pinasasalamatan namin yung sila Delta Sportswear, Boss Dominic, Boss Gael, Boss Bito, si Boss JC, si Madam Amalia. And sa LGU naman sa Bacolod, kay Congressman Albi Benitez, kay Mayor Greg Gasataya, at Vice Mayor Calao Pentabella, and most likely kay Sir Julius Teruel and Sir Butchoy. Yan lang. Thank you.
Maraming salamat. The assistant coach of Bacolod Slashers, Emerick Sahota, magbabalik po ang Maharlika Pilipinas Basketball League.
halftime score, 30 for the Bacolod Tubos Slashers, 35 for the Caloocan Batang Kangkalu. Muli po, Kent Panglinan with Javi Palanyan at courtside. We have Miss Lyra Punsalan. And now we'll break down the numbers here in the first two quarters. And we see na pretty much back and forth yung nangyari dito, Javi. But Caloocan with a strong finish here to cap off the first half.
In the first quarter, Bacolod almost had their way, especially defensively. Caloocan was forced into a lot of outside shots, but thankfully for them, they shot a good percentage from the outside. Come the second quarter, umigting na lalo yung depensa ng Caloocan and they forced even more turnovers on Bacolod, which was exactly the reason why they weren't able to keep the lead and in fact sacrificed it, having Caloocan get a 5-point lead entering the break. 45% para sa Bacolod in that first half, but that's because they only had 22 field goal attempts. Caloocan had so much more field goal attempts, 36 para sa 36%, and they shot a good clip from the outside, 5 out of 13, and forced 14 turnovers, which they converted into 18 turnover points, and a lot of those turnover points were part of that 9 fast break points that they had. Bacolod had 0 fast break points in that first half, something that's supposed to be their strength coming into this game. Pero anong nangyari, Caloocan gave them a dose of their own medicine in that first half. A lot of adjustments for Coach Pao Havilona to be made, but they're only down by 5, Ken. So that's at least a positive going into the third quarter.
And you saw the leading scorers for Bacolod. And for Caloocan, maganda yung pagsisimula ni Paul Sanga, hit 2 threes for a total of 8 points. And you mentioned, Javi, about the fast break points because Bacolod came into this game as the number 6 team in terms of fast break points, 18.3 points. And coming off those fast break. Pero dito nga, no, nothing. And also, in their win against Parañaque, they had 24 fast break points. So that's something that Bacolod has been able to stymie, no, in terms of stopping itong fast break attempts nitong Bacolod.
And if you look at the other stats as well in that first half, makikita mo na they out-rebounded naman itong Caloocan, who's supposed to be the taller team, the more experienced squad. They out-rebounded Caloocan just by 2. But those 19 rebounds, you would assess just by looking at it plainly na sana mas marami sila naging opportunity na tumakbo. But Caloocan, what they've done a wonderful job of in this game was going back on defense after each miss. Kaya hindi makakuha ng madadaling basket at madadaling opportunity sa takbuhan itong Bacolod.
Miles Canyal has yet to miss from the field, 4 out of 4 for a total of 9 points.
Just like how he started this game in the first quarter, getting the first basket here in the second half.
Foul ang itatawag laban kay Aldave Canoy. This was a great move coming off the halftime break.
Well, that's the mindset that you want coming from Miles Canyal, going up against a veteran like Ronnie Matias. Coming in from the dugout, medyo malamig pa siguro ang parehong players, but if you're the younger one, you have to have that aggressor's mindset coming into the opening of the second half.
You saw the numbers from Romel Calahat in that game against San Juan, 10 points, averaging 9.1 points and 5.6 rebounds. Ito si Romel Calahat.
I tell you, Ken, Romel Calahat is one of the more underrated players that we have here in the MPBL, and I think this guy eventually can become a star here in the league.
Oh yeah, he showed that potential as early as when he played for Coach John Calios with Sarangani.
He's a do-it-all player.
Yeah. Jeremy Cabanag high off the glass and in. This guy needs to get it going for Caloocan, only averaging 5.4 points. A far cry from his numbers the past couple of seasons. Matias, Umeke, PP hit. Sablay yung kanyang tira.
Last year, Cabanag was Caloocan's leading scorer.
JC Ajay was shut down in the first half. Not much impact in the first 2 quarters. Kick out pass, Paul Sanga. fight for the rebound. It ends up with Torado. Inside they go. Ronnie Matias again.
If you're Bacolod, that's one thing that you want to avoid. You don't want Chris Torado getting offensive rebounds off of you and generating passes like that on the second bounce, getting it to Ronnie Matias. Beautiful play from the small guy.
This is the game brought to you by 1xBet, the title sponsor of the MPBL. Your choice, your victory. Feel more game with 1xBet. Caloocan now ahead by 9, 41-32. Here at the Inares Center in Montalban, Rizal for the Maharlika Pilipinas Basketball League. Special deal from 1xBet. Scan a QR code and claim your special offer. Approaching the 8-minute mark of the third. Caloocan with a strong start to this quarter. Pastias pumasok na sa loob para dito sa Bacolod as Lubose again coughs off the rock. Paul Sanga, last second dish, papunta kay Jeremy Cabanag.
Ooh, I think he might have babied that shot.
JC Adjei kicks it out. Pastias hesitates, now pulls up, cashes in.
First guy in double figures between these two squads. 11 points in the game para kay Jan Pastias, showing us the whole repertoire dito sa ating laro. Earlier it was the outside shooting, and then we also saw him driving to the basket. This time, the midi para kay Jan Pastias.
But he commits a foul. The Cardinals sin, fouling a three-point shooter.
You hate to see your players fouling jump shooters, especially if it's from beyond the arc.
Fast break the game, atid sa atin ng Extreme, your one-stop shop appliances.
And this was the first fast break opportunity, and he just took it all the way to the rack. That was a good decision by Jeremy Cabanag for him to get his first basket of this game. Was scoreless in the first 2 quarters. This guy on the line, Paul Sanga, has been very impressive in his return to the starting lineup sa laro na to para sa Caloocan Batang Kangkalu.
Paul Sanga, naipasok yung free throw, Coach Toto Dohilio and Coach Gabby Espinas joining forces. It's such an interesting wrinkle now that Coach Gabby now has nakafocus na lang siya 100% in terms of coaching as compared to having to juggle these duties as a player and as a coach.
Mahirap na nga yung mag-coach eh. Mas mahirap pa yung iisipin mo pa kung ano yung gagawin mo sa laro mo, tapos magka-coach ka rin. So this is definitely an easier job compared to being a playing head coach, which I'm sure moving forward in his career, yan ang kanyang pagtutuunan ng pansin. Pero alam naman natin na marami pang maibubuga si Coach Gabby Espinas sa kanyang paglalaro.
Si Torado, finaul din to si Jan Sobrevega while taking that free. Sobrevega though could not cash in on the first free throw, as he would like to thank LGR, the official outfitter of the MPBL.
Sobrevega has not exactly shot it well from the free throw line this season. For a guard, pretty peculiar that he's only shooting 37.5% from the charity stripe.
Ito, out of 3 siya. That's a golden opportunity missed for Bacolod. Instead, they give Caloocan a chance to take their first double-digit lead. Chris Torado out of control, losing it.
They have to run.
Wala pang fast break points itong Bacolod. Susugod si Canoy. A blocking foul call against Jeremer Cabanag.
That's the right call. Coming from referee Jay Castroverde, Cabanag was still moving, unable to establish position yet to draw that offensive foul.
PJ Intia comes in for Janjan Pastias. 6 minutes and 21 seconds remaining here in the third quarter. Baseline inbound para sa mga nakaputi.
With Pastias going back to the bench, I think it's time for Sobrevega to put on his scoring cap at this point of the game.
Kanyal. Walang papasahan. Ngayon susugurin yung depensa ni Ronnie Matias. Gets it in. Also in double figures now is Miles Kanyal with 11.
Oh, I think one of the strategies for Caloocan in this game is really to let Miles Kanyal be that scorer para sa Bacolod Tubos Slashers. Hayaan mo na siya na lang ang pumuntos dito. Kaysa naman si JC Adjei tsaka si John Sobrevega. Both guys have been struggling from the field in this game. But this is a good move from the young big man, putting it on the deck and putting it up. Humingi pa nga siya ng foul dun.
Yeah, to your point, Javi, the leading scorers of Bacolod have been virtually shut down. Sila Mark Duboze, Aldave Canoy, Sobrevega, as you've mentioned. Kalahat though, trying to get that shot up amongst the threes of Bacolod. Foul will be called against the Tubos Slashers.
Bacolod has to be better in those kinds of situations. Your three guys going up against just a single player in Romel Kalahat, and yet he was able to outwork you to generate another opportunity to score. If you're Bacolod, those kinds of situations, you have to be able to secure that defensive rebound.
Kalahat. May pasok yung pangalawang free throw. So it's 44-36 for Caloocan. So Moda comes back in for the Batangkang Kalu. Pressure here by Caloocan. But Sobrevega able to get past the timeline. Aldave Canoy has struggled. That's only his 4th point.
About time that he gets something going here in the second half. Nice pass once again coming from John Sobrevega.
Steal here for Bacolod, a chance to run. Atalier, stop in his tracks by Kalahat. Aldave Canoy, susugod. Will that shot count? Jay Castroverde and Jovet Ocfemia will huddle it up. The game is brought to you by 1xBet, the title sponsor of the MPBL. Your choice, your victory. Feel more game with 1xBet.
He's had a knack for delivering those no-look passes in this game. Ito si John Sobrevega, making it possible there para kay Aldave Canoy.
Oh, they will count the basket.
That's an interesting development. I thought that they were going to nullify the shot, but apparently they see that there is continuation. Medyo mabagal lang, pero in the motion pa rin naman ng tira. So I think that there is a point in giving the basket to Aldave Canoy.
So already 4 points in this quarter after only garnering 2 points in the first half. Aldave Canoy came into this game as their top scorer, 12.8 points. So sila nga, no, the top 4 scorers that they have, si Aldave Canoy, JC Adjei, Mark Duboze, and PJ Intia, all were held to only 1 field goal each in the first half.
I think Caloocan was supposed to try and challenge, but I don't think that by challenging that last call, mananalify pa yung basket. Ang makukuha lang nila pag nag-challenge at nanalo sila is mananalify yung foul na itinawag, but the basket will still count.
Oh, sayang lang. 5-point lead for Caloocan past the halfway point of the third quarter. Kalahat, bandang taas na ibigay kay Jeremer Cabanag. Irvin Palencia has the speed advantage over Batalier. He decides to give it up to Jeremy Cabanag, who slides in, sidesteps his way to the basket. The pass to Batalier. Cross court, papunta kay PJ Intia. Short on that three-point attempt. One and done again by Bacolod.
I don't think that was a very good possession for the Tubo Slashers. Incha should have waited for his other teammates to go down, but may pagkakataon silang bumawi dito sa depensa. They're only down by 5 here, Ken.
Valencia. This time a free from Cabanag. That bounces out. Sumoda grabs the offensive rebound. Got pushed by one of the players from Bacolod.
And napaparami na yung offensive rebounding ng Caloocan here in the third quarter. Earlier, Romel Calahat, and now Jesse Sumoda generating an extra possession here for the Batang Kangkalu.
Baseline inbound for the guys in orange. Caloocan. Paul Sanga sidesteps his way for a free. Way short. Valencia behind the back. Luckily, it bounced off the leg of Canoy, but Cabanag again could not convert. Tatakbo dito ang Bacolod. Susugod si Aldave Canoy. And he draws another foul.
This kid is something else. Walang katakot-takot sa mukha ng batang to. He got that basketball in stride and just took it hard to the basket. Impressive move coming from Aldave Canoy.
And was once compared by Coach Aldin Ayo before to Renz Abando with his size, his versatility. Aldave Canoy. And he played one season for UST before going back again to Bacolod. As we see his numbers here, 7 points, make that 8 for Aldave Canoy. He has the size, he has that stroke going from the outside. Also, can put the ball on the floor.
Kaibahan lang siguro nila ni Renz Abando is mas athletic lang siguro si Renz.
Oo naman.
But definitely the versatility and the ability to play multiple positions, they definitely share those attributes.
And I think yung point of comparison ni Coach Aldon was more of sila pareho came off from out of nowhere, no? And they were able to carve out a niche briefly in Manila. But ito nga si Aldave Canoy coming back again to Bacolod. Ngayon, nagpapaitang gilas na for his home team here in the MPBL. As he's had a good third quarter so far para dito sa Tubo Slashers. Fadeaway jumper by Intia. Short, tapi ka ng bola. Bagsak si Calahat. Lucky break for Bacolod. Getting the ball back. Intia on the right side. 8 seconds on their shot clock. PJ inside. Floats one up and in.
That possession for Bacolod, both possessions, the ball did not even reach the left side of the floor. It kept itself on the right, but on that last possession, after that steal by Incha, getting it again for Bacolod, he was matched up against Jesse Sumoda, definitely had the speed advantage, took advantage of it, put the ball into the rack, fading away from the basket. What a take galing kay PJ Incha.
Jeff Manday nasa loob na for Caloocan. That lead has been chopped down to a solitary point. Both teams in the penalty though, so free throws will be given to the Batang Kangkalu.
If there's one thing that this Bacolod team has been showing in their past few games, especially going up against teams like Pampanga and now Caloocan, it's their grit.
This free throw brought to you by Extreme Appliances, ang subok at kumpletong plants brand ng Pilipinas.
Being able to gut it out against top teams, for a young squad, that's a very difficult task.
Dalawa lang, lamang ng Caloocan dito. May pagkakataon ng Bacolod na makalamang o makatabla. PJ against JJ. Now the switch by Josh. At the post, Batalier lost it. Unforced error on the side of Bacolod. Turnovers creeping up for the Tubos Slashers. 17 now compared to only 8 for Caloocan.
They've had 3 already here in the third quarter.
Caloocan moves the ball around. Valencia crossover. Gets in the middle. JJ Manlangit, top of the key, free. No. Rebound, Batalier. India, nasundutan sa likod. And to make matters worse, they give up a foul and more free throws for the Batang Kangkalu.
And sinasabi natin kanina during the first half, Ken, when you're a team like Bacolod, especially when you're a young squad, you have to learn how to pay attention to the foul situation, especially late in the quarter when you're trying to stop a fast break. Is it still wise to give up a foul? Penalty na ba kami? And this is exactly what happened to PJ Incha at this point. He tries to stop a fast break, gives it up on Jeff Manday, pero penalty na nga sila. Binigyan pa ng madaling opportunity for Jeff Manday to get points on the board with the clock stop.
Averaging close to 10 points per contest, Jeff Manday, as Tubose comes back in for Bacolod. 49-45 in favor of Caloocan. Batalier crossing the timeline. Binigay kay Mark Dubose. Binabantayan ni Irvin Palencia. Dubose stopping his tracks. JC Adjei has yet to score here in the third quarter. Almost another turnover. Pastias turns the corner, pulls up. Shot off the mark. 70 seconds to go. Josh Flores, too strong on that three-point attempt. Bacolod trying to run. Adjei, Nakabuelo lays it up and in.
When you see JC Adjei ahead of you, that's exactly where you should give the pass to him. Maganda yung naging decision doon ni Mark Dobuzay. Although they were outnumbered in transition there, he saw Adjei ahead of him against 3 Caloocan defenders, taking it to the rack and nailing that basket with 45.7 seconds. They have a good opportunity to take the lead going into the fourth quarter.
Alden Canoy comes back in. Magkakataon muli ang Bacolod na makatabla o makalamang. Dubose against the pesky defense of Irvin Palencia. Mark attacks right, kicks it out. JC Adjei. Baseline drive, the reverse does not go, but Dubose right there for the pick. Actually, that was Pastias who got the offensive board, and he will troop to the line.
He's just managed to put himself in the proper situations in this game. Ito si Janjan Pastias.
Came into this game only averaging 2.8 points, but now in double figures with 12.
Whether it's priming himself for good looks from the outside or putting himself in a good position to attack the basket, and now just in this play, getting himself an offensive rebound and getting those 2 shots, Pastias has done a remarkable job para sa Bacolod sa laro na to.
Another deadlock, 49 apiece. But another foul given up by Bacolod. More free throws for Caloocan.
To the utter frustration of Coach Pao Javelona on that Bacolod sideline. Take a look at it again. He thought that it should have been a dribbling violation on Palencia. I think yun ang rinireklamo ni Coach Pao Javelona. Instead, yung bump ni Adjei yung itinawag ng ating mga referees.
However, he misses the first free throw, Irvin Palencia. Supply pa rin yung pangalawa. Pagkakataon ulit para sa Bacolod na makalamang. 15 seconds to go. Mark Dubose peeks at the clock. 10 seconds remaining. Getting past Irvin Palencia, lays it up almost. But he will troop to the line.
Wow, well, I was pleasantly surprised with that attempt ni Mark Dobose. He is just really one of these brave kids from Bacolod that have absolutely wowed us so far this season.
And their first win established his career high of 21 points.
I don't think anyone on that last possession was expecting him to take it right away with still 5 seconds remaining on the clock. Bigla lang siya bumulusok papunta sa basket.
Time winding down in the third. Josh Flores, the heave. No good. And the third quarter comes to an end. And boy, Bacolod, after trailing by as many as 8 points in this quarter, have come roaring back. Highlights of the game brought to you by SIP Plus, the official hydration partner of the MPBL. Elevate your hydration.
Miles Cañal has been very steady in this game. Para sa Bacolod, he's already scored 11 points in this game from start to finish. He has given some key baskets for the Tubos Slashers. Cabanag was able to gain a rhythm in that third quarter. But Bacolod, towards the latter part of quarter number 3, was able to get the running game going, attacking the basket. JC Adjei, although he struggled, had that big basket towards the end of that third quarter for Bacolod to give them the lead.
And at the Tubos Slashers will head into the fourth quarter with a 2-point lead over Caloocan, 51-49. Gixxer fan of the game, born for greatness. And they are enjoying the match between Bacolod and Caloocan, the first game of our Wednesday triple header. Nandito po tayo ulit sa Inares Center in Montalban. Just 2 days off from the national elections. Glad to have you with us here. Muli po Kent Pangilinan alongside Javi Palanyan at courtside. We have Miss Lyra Punsalan, and Bacolod just won't stop. Even though they've copped up the rock too many times, they have found a way to grab this lead to begin the fourth. Special deal from 1xBet. Scan the QR code and claim your special offer.
Bacolod had 14 turnovers in the first 2 quarters. Turned the ball over 4 times, in quarter number 3. Relatively much more of a minimal amount compared to the rate that they've turned the ball over in that first half. But it was really the way that they were able to bounce back from their mistakes in the third quarter that enabled them to get the lead going into the final frame. You see here that 21-point third quarter, very crucial for them coming into this final frame.
Manlangit challenging the defense of Aldev Canoy, gets the layup to go to begin the fourth quarter.
Not much Aldev Canoy could do there. Manlangit, may pagkakataon na bumuelo na maaga doon.
Soriano natulak sa likod while going for a layup of his own. 2 shots will be given.
I tell you, Ken, this guy Soriano, although he may not have a significant impact on this game in terms of the score sheet, but his presence when Cañal is on the bench, he has given quality except for that free throw. He has given quality minutes, especially on the defensive side for Bacolod in this game. Di mo mapapansin, pero ang daming times where it's been crucial for them to secure the basketball, he's been able to help them get those rebounds and help them get an opportunity to score on the other side.
Not much resistance though by Bacolod on that layup by Jeff Manday. 4 straight points by Caloocan. Astorado gives up that foul. And Jeremiah Soriano stepping up in the absence again of Chester Saldua. As we check out the fast break of the game, brought to you by Extreme Cool Air Conditioners. Ang Extreme Magpalamig, free installation for split-type air conditioners.
Doing what he does best, open floor basketball. Jeff Manday has shown it all in this game. Outside shooting, defense, as well as finishing on the break. But this guy also has brought out the entire repertoire. Miles Cañal, this time connecting from the outside.
Wala pang sablay yan si Miles Cañal. Just pouring it on. Matias, no. Dorado, wala pa din. Bacolod with a stop. Dave Canoy sends it back to Duboze for free. Too strong. Dorado. Joined by Cabanag, Matias, Manday, and Manlangit for Caloocan. Jeremer Cabanag still can't find a mark. Matias able to roll that one through.
Caloocan missed their last 3-point blank attempts before that conversion by Ronnie Matias.
Dave Canoy, PJ Intia, Miles Cañal, Mark Duboze, and JC Adjay naman ang 5 ni Coach Pau Pau Havelona para dito sa Bacolod. Foul again against Caloocan. That's their 13th foul. So far, we've had 4 deadlocks and 8 lead changes in this one. Papasok ulit si Ira Batalier sa panig ng Tubo Slashers. Joko Tayong Tong also in for Caloocan. Over 2 minutes gone by here in the payoff period. Dave Canoy against Jeff Manday. 2 Bacolod homegrowns going at it. Canoy at the post. Nailabas kay Cañal. That's his first miss.
I think that might have been partially blocked.
Tayong Tong kick out pass. Cabanag draws closer. Pull up jumper is pure.
Cabanag can be very streaky. He might miss a lot of shots to begin the game, but once he gets one shot to go inside, he can be very deadly.
57-54. Duboze. Nilabas papunta kay PJ Intia. Laban kay Jeremer Cabanag. PJ. Sasalaksak. Puts it up and in. Plus a foul.
He's really a slasher. He likes to find ways for him to penetrate the defense inside the paint. You see here, very timely screen set by Ira Batalier to kind of give him some room to squeak in inside in that middle.
Then the game brought to you by 1xBet, the title sponsor of the MPBL Your Choice Your Victory. Feel more game with 1xBet.
Bacolod doing a good job of just keeping in step here with Caloocan.
A chance to tie if Intia could hit this free throw. Short. Tayong Tong with a defensive board. 3 minutes gone by here in the fourth quarter. Cabanag bouncing it to Romel Calat, top of the key. Matias called for that offensive foul, yeah.
Clearly, he was not fully set. He has to get a technical for that though. Di yata nakita ni referee Jovit Ocfemia. He flashed a dirty finger right after that call was made. Buti di siya nakita.
Oo, swerte. Nakalusot. Pero itong Bacolod, may pagkakataon na lamang lumamang. Laban dito sa Caloocan. Remember, Caloocan came into this game number 6 in the North Division. Bacolod, one of the teams at the bottom in the South. But Ira Batalier swishes in a free. And boy, this Bacolod squad looking good in the past couple of games.
That is three-pointer number 5 only para sa Bacolod in this game, and coming from the most unlikely person on the floor in Ira Batalier.
And Caloocan sues for time as they find themselves down by 2 against Bacolod, 59-57. Check out our fan outfit of the game. Atid sa atin yang ng LGR, the official outfitter of the MPBL. 6 minutes and 28 seconds remaining here in the fourth quarter. And what has turned out to be a pretty fun and competitive game between Bacolod and Caloocan. Miles Canyal producing big time para dito sa Bacolod so far.
14 points, 7 rebounds for Bacolod starting big man. He has really helped the Tubos Slashers from start until now, up to this point of this game. Making baskets from all over the floor, inside, outside, doesn't matter. Miles Canyal bringing on the A game this afternoon para sa Bacolod.
Yeah, not really known as a huge scorer para dito sa Bacolod. In fact, this is his season high. His previous high was 10 points in their game against Davao. As he tries to give Bacolod its third win of the season, but Joko Tayongtong able to get into the gut of the defense and score.
There's nobody there to challenge that shot by Joko Tayongtong. He was freed up the moment he passed through that free throw line, and nobody coming from the weak side willing to help and challenge that shot.
Batalier doing the Smithy but can't finish. Panday natapikan at may munting foul. Kaya si Coach Pau challenge agad. Let's see here because Coach Pau had that kind of reaction immediately after the whistle was blown.
I certainly know where he's coming from right now. Even from our vantage point, I thought that was a clean swipe.
We'll pause for a break. We'll be back for the result of this challenge.
The challenge made by Bacolod Tubos Slashers is successful. There was no foul.
Yeah, and Coach Pau certainly had a case as he challenged his last foul called against Bacolod.
So hard to tell from that angle, but when we saw it, it really looked like a clean swipe.
Oh, in real time, as soon nga as pumito yung ating game officials, tumayo agad si Coach Pau. Actually, lumapit siya agad sa ating game officials.
He wasted no time in telling our referees to turn on that yellow light.
Tabla tayo, 59 apiece. Cabanag continues to fire and this time gets the free to drop.
He hit a shot previously from that same area, but this time it was from beyond the arc. Big basket by Jeremer Cabanag. That guy has been able to hit some big baskets as well in the game para sa Bacolod earlier. Hit a shot from top of the circle, but see this move. Cabanag, simple give and go with a guy he's been playing with for quite some time already, Junbon Subre, two former Red Lions playing beautiful music together para sa Caloocan.
Batalier, 2 out of 3 from the stripe so far. Played for UST, also had a stint with Letran. And in the juniors, played for Arellano. Pasok yung kanyang parehong free throw. Babasa isang lamang ng Caloocan dito. 62-61. The cut, kalahat. Nilabas nila muna, papunta kay Joko Tayongtong. Crossover, pull up by Joko, automatic.
Joko Tayongtong has always been so reliable. And this season, he's actually experienced a rebirth of sorts sa kanyang karera. He's had games this season where he's had impressive numbers on the floor. But in the times na magkaroon siya ng limited playing time, marami pa rin beses na binibigyan siya ng trust ng coaching staff na magtapos ng laro because he knows what to do in tough situations.
I think he had that one game where he had a lot of free throws and also produced in crunch time. Talking about Joko Tayongtong. 3-point lead. Tayongtong right on cue. Lays it up and in. And one play for Joko.
Those are just points 5 and 6 for Tayongtong in this game. But you see, those last two baskets were very big para kay Joko Tayongtong. Finger roll coming from the left side, putting the ball on the deck. Once again, the defense in the middle playing no part in stopping that shot by Joko Tayongtong. In fact, all of his 6 points coming here in the fourth quarter.
Also has 4 assists. Joko Tayongtong, who now has 7 points. 67-61. 6-point lead for the Batang Kangkalu. Janjan Pastias thought about that 3. Batalier, laban kay Kalahat. Hand off, papunta kay Aldiv Canoy. Great screen by Batalier. The floater by Pastias is good. 4-point lead. Under 4 minutes to go here in the fourth. Kalahat, short roll. That was stopped by Kanyal but turned it over again. Joko Tayongtong though was blocked by Miles. Tried to bounce it off. Teka, nag-uusap si referee Jove Tocfemia and Karina Martin. So they will reverse the call. Bola mapupunta sa panig ng Bacolod. Chance to trim the gap here. Duboze pulls it back out. Batalier laban kay Kalahat ulit. Now, he takes that 3. Left it short. Not really a good possession for Bacolod on that trip. Still a lot of time left. Just down by 4. Kabanag has come alive though, as well as Tayongtong here in the fourth quarter. Jeramer laban kay Janjan. Bonsubre offering that screen. Kabanag drifting right, pulls up, no good. Ooh, oh, double foul. It looks like Bacolod will retain possession here. Bagsak. Sino ba to? Si Kanyal ba? Is that Kanyal who's down on the floor? Yeah.
Yeah.
So both guys, Miles Kanyal and Jun Bonsubre with 4 fouls. Bakit na-whiplash yata dito si Miles eh. Natin ha.
Yeah, I think he got hit with
Ooh.
left arm, or maybe it was the takedown by Bonsubre that got the wind of Miles Kanyal.
JC Adjei, baseline drive. Bounce pass to Duboze. Pastias open free. Off the heel. Fight for the rebound. Adjei. Now it's Duboze getting blocked by Kabanag. Mark recovers. Pastias on the other side. Gets it to go. And there's a foul called.
Wow. I mean, just wow. What an incredibly patient possession for a young team like Bacolod.
Yeah.
What a pass there by Duboze, finding the best shooter on the floor for Bacolod. And still at this point of the game, Caloocan has given Pastias open looks.
Tapos dalawang free throw pa because it came after the shot and penalty na ang Caloocan dito. Duboze has a chance to give the lead back to Bacolod.
You saw how Bacolod was making those passes that led to that Pastias shot. Dubuze was blocked. He recovered it for himself. And then siya rin ang nakahanap kay Jan Pastias. The grit of this Bacolod team, simply very impressive.
And yeah, and if you add on to, you know, the fast break points haven't been in their favor, but they've been executing really well at times in the half court. Talking about itong Bacolod.
Tama ka dyan, Ken. Yun yung pinakamaganda nangyayari sa kanila sa laro na to. Yes, they haven't been able to work on the spots that they have been successful at, especially in their wins. Pero nakabawi sila sa ibang bagay.
Kanoy almost. Caloocan looking to take the lead back as we are down to our final 2 minutes of regulation. Long free by Paul Sanga, short. Tayong Tong grabs the rebound, giving another possession to Caloocan. Joko, pocket pass, papunta kay Ronnie Matias. Great cut by Romel Calahat.
Miss coverage there for Bacolod. They went to trap Ronnie Matias on the right side of the basket, failing to see the cutter that was Romel Calahat. Oh, what a swipe there by Tayong Tong.
Joko goes up, lays it up and in. Picking the pocket of Mark Duboze. And experience coming into play for Caloocan as Bacolod calls for time with 1 minute and 25 seconds remaining. As Tayong Tong reading that crossover move by Mark Duboze and turning defense into offense. And Caloocan with a good run, now up by 3, 71-68. Toto Dohilio marking out instructions to Caloocan na merong 3 puntos na kalamangan laban dito sa Bacolod. Still a lot of time left, 1 minute and 25 remaining here in the 4th quarter. What has turned out to be a really well-spirited and competitive game between these two squads, much to the delight of our fans inside the Inares Center in Montalban, Rizal. Muli po Ken Pangilinan with Javi Palanya and Lyra Punsalan calling the game here. As we see Mike Cañete, they will play later on. Rizal will square off against Val City. Check out this assist of the game brought to you by 1xBet, the title sponsor of the MPBL. Your choice, your victory. Feel more game with 1xBet.
That was the last basket. Before that, Tayong Tong steal and score. Everybody was just caught ball watching on Ronnie Matias. This is a crucial possession for Bacolod. Nobody else touching the basketball aside from Aldave Canoy after that inbound for the Tubo Slashers.
Tayong Tong, layup good! Man, Joko Tayong Tong has come alive here in the 4th.
All 11 of his points coming here in the final frame. You talk about clutch, you have to put Joko Tayong Tong in that conversation.
And I think those last 2 offensive trips, Javi, makikita mo no, yung lack of experience of Bacolod.
They knew that they had to go quick, kaya lang there's a difference between going quick at yung minadali mong tira.
Yeah. And we've been harping about how they've been really been patient in their half-court offensive sets. And dun, at least in the last couple of sequences, nawala sila dun.
This is not yet over though.
Ito si Pastias again. 1 and done by Bacolod. And Caloocan will make the clock about a 3-second differential between shot clock and game clock.
They have to foul. Wala pa sila sa penalty.
This is a situation where yung kawalan nila sa penalty might be a hindrance to their comeback.
Well, I think a true point guard also has stop them from really making some tough decisions here in this kind of endgame situation. Mark Dobuzé ang tumatayong point guard nila dito, but I think Dobuzé is more of a scorer and a slasher more than a facilitator.
They need to give up another foul. Bastias holding on to Joko Tayongtong. And he'll head to the line for 2 shots.
Although this will most likely end up in a loss para sa Bacolod unless a miracle still happens in this game, there's still a lot of positives that they can draw from this matchup against the Batang Caloocan. First of all, they once again kept in step with the team at the upper half of the team standings. They did that against Pampanga. They only lost by 9 in that game. Here, they might lose by maybe just this kind of margin, 5 points after those misses by Tayongtong, but they put Paul Sanga on the free throw line. But still, whatever happens, overall, if you save the final possessions of the fourth quarter in those turnovers that they committed, I think Bacolod played wonderfully in this game. Dagdag mo pa dyan yung lack of experience or going up against a highly talented team at that as well in Caloocan. Just a lot to draw from para sa Bacolod sa laro na to. Still, my hat's off to them.
Yeah. It's a valiant effort for Bacolod. And they could just look back to those last 3 offensive possessions. Kung sumugod si Aldiv Canoy, si Mark Dobuzé, at si Janjan Bastias. And then look at the previous sequences that they've had where they were able to score. But what about Caloocan? Able to hold off this pesky and gritty Bacolod Tubos Slasher squad as they notch an important win to keep themselves in the hunt in the North Division. And what a game we witnessed in our first game, Javi.
Well, nakikita mo in this loss, makita mo pa rin talaga yung frustration ni Coach Pao Javelona despite the positives that we've mentioned that they've made in this game. Makikita mo na talagang they're not just here just to participate. They're out here to really compete. And there have been a lot of great contributors for Caloocan in this game, but none have been greater than Joko Tayongtong, especially in the fourth quarter. He was the one who made this separation for Caloocan in the final moments possible.
Best player of the game brought to you by 1xBet, the title sponsor of the MPBL. Your choice, your victory. Feel more game with 1xBet. Joko Tayongtong coming up huge again here in the payoff period. And piloting Caloocan to this important win kontra Bacolod, 74-68. And Bacolod losing after winning against Parañaque. Let's turn you over to Lyra Punsalan.
Thank you, Ken. Joko Tayongtong, kung kailan pinakakailangan ka, dun ka talagang nag-perform, which is the fourth quarter, at dun pa lamang naka 11 points ka. Can you share us, maaari mo bang ibahagi, how were you able to show up better in such a crucial game?
Siguro na timing lang na nung last quarter, naisip ko kasi di rin basta-basta yung Team Bacolod, kaya ayun, sabi namin kanina, huwag lang magkumpiyansa. Kaya ayun, nung na-motivate nung mga veteran na-motivate yung mga teammates ko, ayun, nasama naman ako doon.
Joko, definitely momentum builder itong pagkapanalo nyo because sa next game nyo, makakalaban nyo ang defending champions na Pampanga Giant Lanterns. Paano nyo pinaghahandaan ito?
Siguro yung game namin ngayon, kailangan pa namin mag-improve. Taasan pa namin yung level kasi yung Pampanga, di rin basta-basta yun. Ang lakas ng team na yun ko. So, doon kami sa practice magsisimula talaga.
May mga greetings ka ba, Joko?
Una-una, nagpapasalamat kami sa Panginoon. Nagpapasalamat kami sa walang sawang suporta nila Mayor Alo Malapitan, Kong Aka Malapitan, Konsi Enteng Malapitan, Lexi Malapitan, at sa mga sponsors po, salamat. Yan Coolers, High Top LPG, Stay Cool Clothing, World Balance, si Father Roel na nasa Jerusalem, Pastor Jerry of GCF Caloocan, sa asawa ko nandyan sa bahay nagtatrabaho. Hi sa dalawa kong anak, si Amara, si Carlos, sa lahat ng taga Phase 3, Maylan Homes, mga tropa ko dyan. Ayun, saka sa boss namin sa law enforcement, si pinakapogi naming director, si Si Sir Ed Di Guzman. Hello po.
Maraming salamat, Joko Tayongtong of the Caloocan Batang Tangkalus. Our best player of the game is brought to you by 1xBet, the title sponsor of the MPBL. 1xBet, your choice, your victory. Feel more at game with 1xBet. Back to you guys.
Maraming salamat, Lyra. At susunod na laban natin, Pasig City, makikipagbakbakan laban sa 1 Bataan Risers. Kaya manatiling nakatutok dito sa Maharlika Pilipinas Basketball League, ang liga ng bawat Pilipino.